Hi, my name is Christina Poff-Long. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor in the state of Maryland. I'm also an approved clinical supervisor in the state of Maryland for anybody looking for supervision services that has an LGPC. I currently work with an agency called Greater Washington Psychiatry and Counseling located here in Frederick, Maryland, and currently I offer individual counseling services, both face-to-face as well as online. Recently, I've been asked to talk a little bit about how to avoid feelings of isolation during the coronavirus pandemic, as everybody is wanting to be socially distant from one another for obvious health-related reasons. One of the very first things that I need to mention, and it's crucial, is our attitude. The way we think about things, the way we perceive this. If we go into this thinking that this isn't going to work well, that I'm going to have a horrible time, that this is impossible, that this is awful, then what we think will actually become reality. So we will have an awful time. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we think we're going to have an awful time, we're going to have an awful time because we keep telling ourselves that's how it's going to be. In contrast, if we look at this as a way for maybe a break from the fast-paced life that we might lead, or needing to get away and separate from some individuals or from some environments, for self-reflection, for growth, maybe to learn new things. If we look at all the opportunities in what may otherwise be perceived as an obstacle, we're going to do much, much, much better and be able to get through this time much easier. So it's going to be all about our perspective. It's going to be all about our attitude. Attitude is everything. So one of the first ways to help cope is to work to eliminate all negative thoughts that we have, and really question our moods. If we're feeling down, then we need to ask ourselves, what are my thoughts behind feeling down? And you'll find that there's some negative thoughts there. The second thing that we can do in order to reduce feelings of isolation is to reach out using technology. For example, right now I'm using video to reach out to you, to be able to speak with you. You can see me and you can hear me. And it may be best right now that I can't see or hear you, depending on what's going on, but you get the idea. You can talk with individuals using things like FaceTime on social media. You can use WhatsApp, Skype, and you can also use something that might be more archaic called the telephone. I know that there are many of you who do like to use social media, and so even through just typing, social media can be a blessing and a curse, and right now it may be more of a blessing in terms of dealing with feelings of isolation. The third thing that we can do is to really look at this time and use it for a period of growth and self-reflection. This may sound like a daunting task, especially if you're the person that's usually on the go all the time and always around individuals. However, we always need a chance to take a step back, take a breather, and reevaluate, reassess our lives, where we're going, and what we're doing. We always have a reason for what we do and why we do it, and even maybe when we choose to do it. We always have a reason. And so now's the time to really think about what's driving us in life. Are we moving, or is our life going in the direction that we want it to go? Activities that we can do during this time to help consider all that is the use of meditation. I'm going to provide a link regarding one of the best meditational, it's just a very brief meditational video. I found it on YouTube, quite by accident actually, and it's less than 10 minutes long. So if we go through the motions of learning how to meditate, which really is just focusing on breathing, that's going to be a big help to allow us to focus on the inside. Also, there is an activity-based meditational type thing called Qigong. I discovered Qigong several years ago at a conference in Washington, D.C., and it's actually spelled Qigong, and all that does is coordinate movement with breath. It's incredibly relaxing. It helps to clarify our thought. It's great to get kids involved with that because it does involve motion. And overall, it's a sense of calming that we can use in our everyday lives, but especially during this time of growth and self-reflection. Essentially, the coronavirus has actually given us a timeout, an adult timeout, and even, I guess, for kids too. But this adult timeout is very similar to what we may use in disciplining children, because we're hoping that they use that timeout as a way to reflect on maybe something that they could have done differently to avoid the outcome that they had. For adults, it's no different. This enforced or preferred social distancing is a way to take a time out of life and reevaluate our current situation and circumstances, and to basically do an overhaul. Spirituality in our lives is a very important component. Now, I'm not saying the term religion. Those two terms can be very different. So we're not talking about applying a religion or an organized religion. However, spirituality can be enhanced by a religion. It's really not necessary. What I mean when I say the term spirituality is the connection to ourselves, to other people, to the world around us, to all living things. In fact, animals are the most spiritual beings on the face of this planet, in my personal opinion. They express so much, especially with their eyes, or the way they go about their business in their day. So looking to this as a way to grow in our spirituality is incredibly important. I have some notes here on how to do that. One of the ways that we can do that is if we do end up applying religion, and I'll post another video about this at some other time, this is a time for Christians of Lent. This is a time for people in the Jewish tradition to look back at Passover's coming soon and reflect on that. And so there's many religious teachings that can enhance spirituality for those individuals that have religious beliefs. Another spiritual thing to do that's really incredibly important in life is, it's been a beautiful day today. It was beautiful yesterday. Just because we're on social distancing does not mean we cannot go outside and connect with nature. Connecting with nature is essential for spiritual growth. It's, again, connecting to all living things, and the earth is living. So it's a chance to look outside and to maybe explore things that we wouldn't ordinarily have time to explore. Look at things that maybe from a different perspective or a different lens. Yesterday, I was staring outside and I actually noticed the first dandelion of the season. And I thought, wow, that's a sign of spring. That's a sign of growth. It was encouraging. Go outside, try to find a four-leaf clover. You know, I've never found a four-leaf clover in my entire life. And I'm older than I actually look. So if you think that there's still time, I know that there's still time, but I might actually venture out and do that today. So there's lots of activities that you can do outside. You can get involved with different projects such as geocaching. You know, you can clean up your yard, spring clean your yard. Just because we're doing social distancing, again, it does not mean that we can't go outside and explore our world. On that note about spirituality and connecting with things, one of the most important things that we can do as we're trying to connect, and it's very beneficial, and it's used a lot actually as a grounding technique when somebody's experiencing panic, when somebody's experiencing anxiety is to connect with our senses. Really take in a sense of what we're feeling, as in touch, what we're tasting, what we're seeing, what we're smelling, and what we're hearing. When we engage our senses, we're brought into the here and now. And being in the here and now is really important to manage anxiety, to manage stress, and to find things that we wouldn't ordinarily see as we're going through life. So not only is this something that is important for us to do in everyday life, it's actually called mindfulness. We can incorporate that also at times of stress, and again, to avoid feelings of isolation. The fourth thing I'm going to mention is actually going outside. I know I had mentioned that before, but going outside, like I said, the danger is in the proximity, the close proximity to other people. I believe it's something like 6 feet, at least 6 feet distance from other people during this period of time. That's what's important, but we certainly can go outside and explore. This may mean taking up a new hobby. I have notes here. That's why I'm looking down. Fly a kite. It's March. It's windy. It's gorgeous outside. Okay. Try something new. Try taking pictures of the world around us. Work on a project maybe that involves being outside. Try something like geocaching. Geocaching uses coordinates to find missing treasures, or just to the challenge of finding something very small. They're called microcaches. And it's actually spelled Geocaching. Go for a hike. Stargazing. Incredible, okay? Especially if it's clear. And talk to your neighbors. Usually, I know when I was growing up, at least, we spoke with our neighbors. And I think that we're losing touch of that connection with other people in that way. And we can still do that even in a time of social distancing. For example, if you're outside and your neighbor's outside, talk over the fence, not real close, talk from one yard to the next. You'd be amazed what you might find out from your neighbor. And you actually might find out that you like and enjoy your neighbor. If you've already been doing that, good for you. Keep it up. It's always wise to know your neighbors. Another way to avoid isolation is to actually connect with those that you're living with. If you happen to be living with anybody, and if it's possible to do something together online, so as I said about technology, go ahead and do that, like playing a game online. Go retro, okay? Go retro. Dust off those board games. Get them ready to go. There was a lot of fun to be had in the old school methods. And again, you might learn something new about the people that you're living with. It's a chance to connect with them. It's a chance to step back, take a breather, and really begin to form or continue to maintain the bonds that you have with those that you're living with. That's a very important thing to remain healthy. Ideas aside from board games is, make a funny story by just saying a one word back and forth until you develop a story. Again, go on an adventure, even if it's right in your own home. Paint rocks, okay? Painting rocks, there's a Facebook page called Frederick Rocks, and you can learn all about how to do that. It's a great stress reliever. It can be an individual activity, and it's a lot of great fun. Also, my personal favorite, and I'm a nerd probably for saying this, I love jigsaw puzzles. I love jigsaw puzzles. That's probably why I'm in counseling, because I think that we come to the table with pieces that somebody can help us put together, or help guide us to put together, and to make the bigger picture become clear. So putting jigsaws puzzles together while listening to the radio is a lot of great fun, and it's mainly how I like to pass a lot of time. Also, individual activities as far as learning, again, about the learning something new within ancestry, genealogy, things like that, connecting with relatives. Great way to spend the time and to avoid some boredom. The sixth thing I mentioned about how to avoid feelings of isolation really has to do with our ability to obtain items or things that we might need during social distancing. Amazon, Walmart, all kinds of online-based companies or companies that have online access that can be delivered to your own home. For example, if you'd like to paint rocks, it may take a few days, but order everything you need, have them delivered to your home if you're able to do that. There's lots of things you can get. You can get books so you can read. You can get movies. Another thing that I didn't mention is laughter. It's really important to laugh during this time because it reduces stress and anxiety. There's plenty of YouTube things out there. I'll put some links down below of things that actually make me laugh. It's so important to laugh in life. We don't always have to be so serious. And I know even that I can be guilty sometimes of being too serious. So it's very important to laugh for our overall health. And it actually can be an exercise. For example, several seconds of laughter, intense laughter, is just as much as if several minutes of exercise. So it's incredible about what laughter can do, and laughter certainly is the best medicine to many degrees. One of the things that I didn't mention yet is, and it had to do with meditation as well as maybe having to get something online, or if you at the grocery store happen to get one, is a pack of colored pencils or crayons, and to find a book that has mandalas in it, M-A-N-D-A-L-A-S, I believe. I'm always challenged when I have to spell in my head. But if you've ever seen like stained glass windows, like rose-colored windows, or I'm sorry, like rose windows, that it goes through a similar pattern. And what it does is it puts somebody in a meditative type state that weeds out negative thinking. Don't exactly know how that works, but mandalas, adult coloring, if they're in a circular pattern, it's a repetitive pattern, that's what enables the meditation to take place. There's plenty of free pages that you can get online to color in, and it will really help weed out some of those stress-inducing negative self-talk messages that you might be giving yourself that's making your time in isolation that much more difficult. So I encourage you to color. Sounds funny? It works. This time is also a time and a perfect opportunity to do something like a project that maybe we've been putting off. Maybe we have to do it or say, oh, I'll get around to it when I can, and have never had the time. So now is a great time to do that. Make a list. It's always great to check off something on your list. You have a feeling of accomplishment, because this time can actually be, we can allow ourselves to get lazy, especially if we aren't going to work or doing something productive throughout the day, which then will affect the way we perceive our world and affect our self-esteem. So in order to prevent a negative outcome from this isolation period or social distancing period, allow yourself to get into something, again, a new project or something that you've been meaning to do that maybe you've been putting off until now. The eighth way to help take care of our own mental health during this period is to really ensure that we're getting our basic needs met. This is something that comes up again and again in my counseling office, where people somehow just forget to take care of themselves. Please don't be a victim of that, okay? One of my theories that I always like to use is, for example, when you're flying on a plane and you hear about the oxygen masks dropping from the ceiling if they need to, and you always pray that never happens. But if they do, we're instructed to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before assisting another person. So for example, let's apply that to our real life. Let's apply that to our real life. So for example, I would have a hard time helping somebody else if I don't take care of myself first. So we need to take care of ourselves if we're going to be our best person. One of the ways to do that is to look at proper eating, making sure that we're getting proper nutrition. Also, a healthy amount of sleep. I know some of you who really know me know that that's not my most favorite thing. And so this applies to me as well. I need to get proper sleep. For adults, it's around 7 hours is a really good gauge. I think it's 6 to 8 hours. We don't want to sleep too much. We don't want to sleep all day, throughout the day and then turn around and sleep at night. If that happens, it's a really not a good sign. In addition, we need to look at our own hygiene. Maintain hygiene. Just because you might not be going anywhere doesn't necessarily give you a reason to check out of self-care. Now, maybe a lazy day here and there may be fun. However, don't make it the norm. Again, being clean, using that soap and water is not only good to help prevent anything that might be airborne from getting or attacking our bodies, because it's obviously that's why we're doing social distancing. So that's important to take care of ourselves, to take care of our hygiene. It also helps us feel better as individuals and helps lead to feelings that we are being productive. Physical activity is also important. Before I mentioned about Qigong, give that a shot. Get up, go for a walk, go for a hike, go geocaching, go stargazing. Something that's going to be able to get you out and about during this time so you don't necessarily get cabin fever and feel so closed in. Finally, if you feel that you've, given your best effort to try all the things that were mentioned and you're really still struggling, I do online counseling. There are counseling services available online. If you find that you are really struggling, please contact me directly, privately. And not only can we talk about it, I can help send you in the right direction to help you with what you may be needing according to the issues that you're struggling with and dealing with. All right, so this actually concludes my very first video, so I hope I did okay. Please let me know what I might need to do in order to improve. Also, if you have any additional tips that maybe I left out or didn't mention, please comment so that everybody can take advantage of all the tools, all the skills, all that might be necessary during this social distancing period. During the COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe actually a good thing to say wouldn't be pandemic because that's panic-inducing. Again, all about attitude. Focus on the attitude. Have a good one.